Hello, good evening, children. Today we discuss about the sixth chapter, that is reproduction, the generating system. In this lesson, we discuss about the key points. First, here reproduction is mainly two types. There is one is asexual reproduction, and the another one is sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction means no sex at all. That means no male, no female, etc. Here it involves only one parent, and it involves no gametes. That means no male gametes and no female gametes. That means no sperms, no ova, etc., etc. And here the resulting babies, that means offsprings, they resemble the parents. And here sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves two parents. That means one is male and another one is female. And sexual reproduction involves gametes. That means male gametes and female gametes. That means sperms and ova. And sexual reproduction involves fertilization. That means fusion of both male and female gametes. And here offsprings, that means babies, they genetically differ from the parents. These are the main differences between the sexual and asexual reproduction. So reproduction is mainly two types, that is sexual and asexual. And here first we discuss about the different asexual methods. Here we are looking at a picture. Here it is paramecium. This type of asexual reproduction is called fission. Here paramecium is dividing into two. This type of fission is called binary fission. Sometimes in some animals, animal divides into more than two. That is called multiple fission. In paramecium, asexual reproduction is done by the method called binary fission. Besides this, in paramecium, sexual reproduction also happens. That is called conjugation. And this is also asexual reproduction. It is budding in yeast. In yeast, small buds grow like this, and after some time this bud separates from the mother and it becomes separate animal. This is also asexual reproduction. And here fragmentation. This fragmentation it occurs in the plants like algae. These are the algae. For example, Spirogyra. If the organism divides into small fragments, if it divides like this, the two cuts they grow as different organisms. This is called fragmentation. This is also one type of asexual reproduction. And seedless fruits. This is called actually the formation of seedless fruits. This method is called parthenogenesis. And by this method of parthenogenesis, you can get seedless fruits. This parthenogenesis, it also occur in some animals also. For example, in bees and wasps and also in ants. So we get seedless fruits by the method called parthenogenesis. And here it is regeneration it is called planaria. And here it is called, this method is called regeneration. If the animal is cut like this, here animal is there and it is cutting into three pieces. From each piece, a complete organism develops. This method is called regeneration. This is also one type of asexual reproduction methods. And like this, all these are like budding and regeneration, fragmentation, parthenogenesis, and fission, etc. All these are the asexual reproduction methods. And this is called actually it happens in plants, and this is called vegetative propagation. Actually, vegetative parts means there are so many parts in the plant, like roots, stem, leaves. These three parts, roots, stem, leaves, these are called vegetative parts. And flowers are there. They are not actually vegetative parts. They are called reproductive parts. So, if new plants arise from the vegetative parts, that is called vegetative propagation. If new plants form from roots, stem, or leaves, it is called vegetative propagation. Here it is bryophyllum. In bryophyllum, new plants arises from the leaves. Here leaf is there, and at the edges of the leaf, here buds are present. From these buds, new plants arise. This is about bryophyllum. This vegetative propagation by leaf, and here different plants are there. All these are the examples for vegetative propagation. Here bulbs, tubers. It is in case of potato. It's a modified stem. Here stolon. In case of chrysanthemum, chamanthi, and corns, root. From roots, here from roots new plants are growing. and from here cones, from here stems, and this is bulbs. For example, here in case of turmeric, etc. Like this, what we are observing here is, here new plants are formed from vegetative parts like roots, stem, or from leaves. This type of propagation is called vegetative propagation. And here this is called artificial propagation. Artificial means by our intervention. Here we are producing new plants. First one is cutting. It is possible in some plants. If we cut some part of a plant, and if we plant this part in soil, it grows as a new plant. This is called cutting. For example, rose and hibiscus, that means mandara and sugarcane, etc., etc. And this is layering. Actually, layering means here it is done like this, and the stem part, the branch that is near to the soil, it is bent like this, and some part of it is kept in soil, and on the stem some soil is poured like this. After some days, here roots are formed, and this portion develops as a new plant. This is called layering. For example, nerium means ganneru, and this one jasmine, etc., etc. Here in this method we are producing new plants, and this is called grafting. Grafting in Telugu it is called antu tokkadam, antu kattadam. And here on one plant we are grafting another plant. Here this plant is present in the soil. This plant, it is called stock plant, and here we are bringing another plant here, and we are affixing here both. This part is called scion. This here this plant, it is its roots are in the soil. This portion is called stock, and here we are bringing the plant part from another plant. This is called scion. Here we are fixing two plants. After some days, these two, they get mixed and they become one. This method is called grafting. All these, that means cuttings, layering, grafting, these are the artificial propagation methods. And here is another technique. This is called tissue culture. By this method we can produce many number of plants in short time. It is very, very useful in horticulture. That means in the production of fruits giving plants. Here only a small part, small tissue or small cells take from the plant, and we grow the tissue on a culture medium. This method is called tissue culture. By this method we can get many number of plants in short time. This is called tissue culture. And here a fungus is there. This is Rhizopus. It actually grows on the bread. And here if we observe Rhizopus under microscope, it looks like this. And here it is Rhizopus. In this Rhizopus, reproduction happen by the formation of spores. Here this is called sporangium. In this sporangium, spores are present. From these spores, new fungus arises. So this is also a sexual method. Up to now we discussed about the asexual reproduction, and this is called fern leaf. This is fern leaf, and in this fern, if we observe the bottom of the leaf, small structures here we are observing, small sac-like structures. These are called sori, and the leaf is called sporophyll. In these parts, spores are present. From these spores, new plant arises. Like this. Up to now we discussed about the asexual reproduction, like asexual reproduction in different organisms, and vegetative propagation, and artificial propagation, tissue culture, and in case of fungus, and in sporophyll of fern. Now we discuss about the sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, actually sexual reproduction means two sexes. That means the male and female are there, and male and female gametes are formed, like sperms and ova are formed, and fertilization also takes place between the sperm and ova. Here fertilization, it is mainly of two types. One type of fertilization is called external fertilization, and another type of fertilization is called internal fertilization. And first this one, internal fertilization. Internal fertilization means here external fertilization. Here external fertilization, it is observed in fish. That means in aquatic animals. That means the animals live in the water. This external fertilization, male animal releases sperms into the water and female animal releases ova into the water. Here fertilization occur outside the female body, that means in the water. This type of fertilization, if fertilization occur outside the body, that is called external fertilization. Here internal fertilization, if fertilization occur inside the female body, it is called internal fertilization. Here hen and cock are there. Cock is introducing sperms into the hen's body. So this type of fertilization, that means male animal introduces sperms into the female body, and here fertilization occur in the female body. This type of fertilization is called internal fertilization. External means outside the body, internal means inside the body. So like this, fertilization is mainly two types, external and internal. And first we discuss about the here reproductive system in human beings. Here first we observe the male reproductive system. In male reproductive system, we have two testes. Testes are present in the bag-like structure, a sac-like structure. It is called scrotum. And if we observe the testes, we have two testes. Inside the testes, small tubules-like structures are present. These are called seminiferous tubules. Actually, sperms are produced in the seminiferous tubules. After the formation of sperms, these sperms are collected into the epididymis. Here in each testis, epididymis are present. In these epididymis, sperms are temporarily stored. After that, sperms they move through the vas deferens, through these seminal ducts, and they come here and they ejaculated outside through the penis. Like this, two testes are there. Inside the testis, number of seminiferous tubules are there. Seminiferous tubules produce sperms, and they are temporarily stored in epididymis, and from epididymis they are released into the vas deferens, that is the seminal ducts. And in the male reproductive system, if we observe, we see prostate gland, and besides prostate gland, other two glands are present. They are called Cowper's glands. These prostate gland and Cowper's glands, they produce a fluid-like substance that is called semen. This semen, it provides nutrients and medium for motility of sperms. That means for moving the sperms, for movement of sperms. Like this, male reproductive system is there. And if we observe the sperm, male sperm is very, very minute, very, very small in size. It has mainly head, neck, middle piece and tail, and sperm is motile. That means it can move. It is very, very small, and each time number of sperms are released. That means millions of sperms are released each time, every day. And here it is female reproductive system. If we observe the female reproductive system, here we are observing ovaries. These are ovaries. Females have two ovaries, and this funnel-like structure and this tube, this is called fallopian tube, and this portion is called the uterus, and this is vagina. Like this, different parts are present. If we observe the female reproductive system, inside the ovary, ova are present. Actually, ova are present in small follicles. They are called Graafian follicles. When the Graafian follicle matures, from that Graafian follicle, ova is released. The release of ova is called ovulation. In females, for 1 month, only one ova is released. If ova is released from this ovary this month, next month ova is released from this ovary. That means in alternative way, 1 month from this ovary and another month from this ovary. And for month in females, only one ova is released. Ova is present actually in the Graafian follicle. After the breaking of Graafian follicle, the ova comes outside. This ova is collected by this funnel-like structure of fallopian tube. So ova comes here into the fallopian tube, and it is immovable. Ova is non-motile. It is immovable. It is big in size compared to the sperms. and it is released only one per month. And at that time, if she is married woman, sperms they come like this in this way. First come into the uterus and they enter into the fallopian tube, sperms. If here ova is present, fertilization happen. That is called internal fertilization. After fertilization completed, if she is married woman, here zygote is formed. That means by the fusion of sperm and ova, zygote is formed, and this zygote, it moves towards the uterus like this, and during the movement, mitosis happens, cell division happens in the zygote. So one cell becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 32, 32 64, like that. A ball like structure is formed. That ball like structure, it moves through the fallopian tube and finally it reaches the uterus like this. At that time when the zygote reaches the uterus, then this portion, the uterus portion, is well developed. Tissues are grown and it is full of blood circulation, everything is good. And here this zygote, it fixes in the uterus, implantation takes place like that. And this zygote, it grows for a period of 9 months, that is called pregnancy period or gestation period. After pregnancy period is over, then childbirth is happen. If she is unmarried woman, if she is not married and fertilization does not happen, then first ova is released and it is in the fallopian tube and no sperms are there, and ova disintegrate here itself. And after a few days, after 13 to 14 days, this grown portion, here tissues are well developed and blood circulation is full, and if zygote is not formed and implantation is not taken place, then in that case these tissues along with blood, it is shut off. And this is called, actually it is termed as period. And next again the changes takes place like that. For every month only one ova is released, that is called ovulation. This is about female reproductive system. 2 ovaries are there, 2 fallopian tube, uterus, and this vagina, etc., etc. And next, if fertilization takes place and if zygote is formed, implantation takes place. Here it is this portion, this is uterus. In the uterus, this is zygote. And zygote, after 12 weeks, it is called fetus. And in the fetus, some structures are formed. Around the fetus, a structure is formed, a membrane is formed. This is called amnion. Within the amnion, a fluid is present. This is called amniotic fluid. It protects the fetus from shocks. And here another layer is present. This layer, this outer layer, this is called chorion. And here a connection is formed. This is called umbilical cord. This umbilical cord, it is formed from allantois, and a connection is formed between the this fetus and mother's uterus. That connection is called placenta. Placenta means it's a connection between the mother and the baby. Actually this placenta, it helps in the transportation of food, gases and waste products between the mother and fetus. And here umbilical cord is there. It is a long tube like structure. This is formed from allantois like that. Here amnion, chorion, umbilical cord, all these are formed by the end of 3 months. This is about human embryo. And here it is the development of the embryo. First month and second month, third month, the different changes occur as the development of the baby progresses. And at the end of 9 months, I already told this period, this 9 months period, this is called gestation period or pregnancy period. It is nearly 270 to 280 days in case of human beings. It is different in different animals. After the completion of 9 months, childbirth happen. At the time of childbirth, the baby's head, it moves towards the opening side, towards the vagina, and it indicates the baby is ready to deliver. And this is shortly before birth. When the birth is going to happen, then this amnion, this layer, it breaks and amniotic fluid releases outside, and slowly first head of the baby it comes out, and later the remaining parts come out, and the doctors they cut the umbilical cord, and everything go like that. And after the baby comes out, all the remaining parts, that means all these membranes they come out. That is called after birth. And after birth, when the baby comes out, then mammary glands become active. That means the breast in females it becomes active, and they release milk. The first few days milk, it is called colostrum. It contains so many valuable immune factors. They are very very essential for the development of the baby. It increases it stimulates the immune system of the baby, so it is very very important for the baby. This is about childbirth. Now we discuss about the sexual reproduction in plants. Here we are observing the flower. In flower there are mainly four important parts. These are sepals and petals and stamens, and this one carpel or ovary. These are the main four parts in the flower. And in these four parts, these two, stamens and carpel, these two are called essential parts, and the remaining two, the petals and sepals, they are called non-essential parts. In most of the flowers, these two are present. These stamens are called male reproductive parts, and this carpel or ovary, it is called female reproductive part. In most of the plants, these two are present. Male and female reproductive parts are present. That type of flowers are called bisexual flowers. Example, many flowers. And in some other plants, in some other flowers, only either this one or this one. That means either male reproductive parts or female reproductive parts. Anyone is present. That type of flowers are called unisexual flowers. For example, bottle gourd and bitter gourd, etc., etc., and papaya. All these are unisexual flowers. And this portion, this is carpel or ovary. At the tip of the ovary, this portion is called stigma. Here opening is there, and this long tube-like structure, this is called style. And here at the base, this portion is called ovary. And here these are stamens. This is a sac-like structure. This is called pollen sac, and this long structure is called pollen tube. And inside the pollen sac, pollen grains are present. If when it gets matured, this pollen sac it gets opened and pollen grains comes out. If pollen grains reach the stigma of same flower, if pollen grains are present here, if these pollen grains reach the stigma of the same flower, this is called self-pollination. If these pollen grains they reach the stigma of another flower, that is called cross-pollination. If pollen grain reach stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination. If pollen grain reaches the stigma of another flower, maybe in the same plant or in the another plant, that is called cross-pollination. Always plants prefer cross-pollination over self-pollination. And this is about pollen grain. And pollen grain, if we observe under the microscope, it looks like this. And when this pollen grain it germinate, it becomes like this. And in the pollen grain, two nucleus are present. They are called male nucleus. When the pollen grain reaches the stigma of ovary, then pollen grain germinates and it becomes like this. A tube arises, and in the tube, two nucleus are present. They are called male nucleus. And here this is female reproductive part, and this is ovary. And if we observe the ovary, here it is stigma, this is style, and this is ovary. Inside the ovary, a structure like this is present. This is called ovule. In ovary, one ovule may be present or more than one may be present. And if we observe the ovule, It contains so many structures like this. This is also called embryo sac or female gametophyte. And if we observe the female gametophyte or embryo sac, it mainly contains 7 cells. Here 3 cells, and in the middle 1, and here 3 cells. And this female gametophyte, it contains 7 cells, and it contains 8 nucleus. 7 cells and 8 nucleus. Here 1 1 1, here 1 1 1, and in the middle 2 nucleus are present. This is called polar nuclei. And here this one, at the opening of the embryo sac, here it is egg cell or female gametophyte, and these two are called synergids, and these 3 are called antipodals. Like this it is present. This is also important. This is called female gametophyte or embryo sac. And here pollen grain, it falls on the stigma, and nucleus, it comes like this. It reaches the egg cell. When male, I already told, this pollen tube contains 2 nucleus. They are called male nucleus, male gametes. When this male nuclei reaches like this, first male nucleus, it fertilizes with the egg cell. It results in the formation of zygote. Here 2 nucleus are present in the pollen grain. 1 nucleus, it fertilizes with the egg cell. It results in the formation of zygote. This is called first fertilization. And here another nucleus is present. Here 2 nucleus are present. Another nucleus, it fuses with the polar nuclei, and this is called second fertilization, and it results in the formation of endosperm. So in plants, double fertilization takes place. This is very, very important. In animals, only single fertilization takes place, but in plants, double fertilization takes place. One between male nuclei and female nucleus, and one between male nuclei and polar nuclei. First fertilization results in the formation of zygote, and second fertilization results in the formation of endosperm. This first fertilization, it results in the formation of zygote. Zygote later on converts into seed, and this second fertilization results in the formation of endosperm. This endosperm, it serves as food for the development of the seed, like this. And after fertilization over, so many changes occur. This all these portions, this style, stigma, all this shed off, and sepals, petals, etc., all they shed off, and this ovule, it changes into seed, and this ovary, it modified as a fruit, like this. So many changes occur. This is very, very important. And here it is a life cycle of a flowering plant. Here a plant is there, and in the plant flower is present. In the flower pollen grains, and here ovary, and fertilization takes place. It results in the formation of zygote, embryo formed, and results in the formation of fruit. Inside the fruit, seeds are formed. If seed germinates, it results in the formation of again plant, like this. This is life cycle of a flowering plant. Now we discuss about the cell division. Actually, we all are growing, and this growth is due to cell division. Actually, cell division, it is of mainly 2 types. One type of cell division, it is called mitosis. Here we observe, here fertilization is taking place. Here it is egg, and this is sperm. It is the formation of zygote, and from this zygote, number of cells are forming. And here this is another type of cell division. Here from this cell, sperms and ova, these are forming. Actually, cell division is of mainly 2 types. One is called mitosis, and another one is called meiosis. Mitosis, this cell division takes place in the body parts, that means in the somatic parts. And meiosis, this division occur only in the reproductive parts. So mitosis means it occur everywhere in the body except in the reproductive parts. Meiosis, it occur only in the reproductive parts. And this one is called cell cycle. And That means this indicates when cell division happen. Actually this one M, it indicates mitosis, that means cell division. Remaining this G1, S and G2, these two phases are called interphase. Interphase means it includes G1, S and G2. During this interphase no cell division occur, only cell division occur during the M phase, that is called mitosis. And in the G1 phase, G1 means gap 1, nothing happen. And S means synthesis, that means the materials required for cell division, they are synthesized in this phase. That means synthesis of new DNA, synthesis of proteins, etc., etc., takes place in this phase. And G2, this means gap 2. After G1, S and G2, M phase it occur. In the M phase cell division happen. Actually cell division occur like this. This is called mitosis. This mitosis, it occur everywhere in the body except in the reproductive parts. That means except in the testes in the males and except in the ovaries in the females. I already told, during this M phase these changes takes place in the cell. This mitosis, it actually contains 4 phases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. First, during the prophase, some changes occur. Here chromosomes, they become thicker and nuclear membrane, it gets disappeared. And during the metaphase, these spindle fibers, these fibers are formed, and these chromatids, these chromosomes, they reach the center of the cell. And during the anaphase, these chromatids, they separate and they move towards the poles. And during the telophase, here moving done, everything is done, and cytoplasm divides, and nucleus, it is again formed, and the cell divides into 2. It is going to divide into 2. After these 4 phases, prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, cytokinesis happen. That means cytokinesis means division of cytoplasm. These 4 phases, here nucleus is dividing into 4, nucleus is dividing into 2. This is called karyokinesis. Karyokinesis means division of nucleus. Cytokinesis means division of cytoplasm. Like this, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, 4 phases are there in the mitosis. And here it is meiosis. It also looks like mitosis, but some changes. Here in the at the end of the mitosis, from one cell 2 cells are formed. But in case of meiosis, at the end of meiosis 4 new cells are formed from one cell. From one cell 4 cells are formed in meiosis, but in mitosis only 2 cells are formed from one cell. So here prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, and prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2, like that. 2 phases are there. Here this is very important, the differences between the mitosis and meiosis. And mitosis, it occur only in the somatic cells, that means in the body parts. Meiosis, it occur in the germ cells, that is in the reproductive parts. Here mitosis, in mitosis nucleus divides only once, one nucleus becomes 2. Here nucleus divides twice, one nucleus becomes 4. Here 2 daughter cells are formed. Here in the meiosis 4 daughter cells are formed. Daughter cells are in diploid condition. Diploid means if we observe here it is looking like 2n. 2n means our body cells contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. In each cell of our body 23 pairs of chromosomes are there. That means every chromosome is present in pairs. That is called diploid condition, diploid. But in our body, in the sperms and in the ova, chromosomes are present only single. That means only 23 chromosomes are present in the sperms and ova. But in our body parts 46 chromosomes are present. In our body parts 46 chromosomes are there, but in the sperms and ova only 23 chromosomes are present. Here it is 2n and it is n. Here 23 pairs, here only 23. This condition is called diploid. That means every chromosome, it is present as pairs, 2. Here only one chromosome is present, that is called haploid. Here n means haploid, 2n means diploid. Here daughter cells are diploid, here daughter cells. Here sperms and ova are formed, they are haploid in condition. It occurs, mitosis occur frequently, meiosis occur less frequently. Here daughter cells form somatic organs, that means body parts are formed. Here daughter cells form gametes, that means sperms and ova are formed by meiosis. There is only one prophase, one metaphase, one anaphase and one telophase here. Here everyone two phases. Here number of chromosomes are not changed in the daughter cells. Here chromosomes in the daughter cells are same. If 23 pairs are present in the parent cell, in the daughter cells also 23 pairs are present. But here number of chromosomes reduced to half in meiosis. If in the mother cell 23 pairs are present, in the daughter cells only 23 are present. Here chromosomes number double at the beginning of each cell division. I already told S phase, G1S, G2M. During the S phase, chromosomes number becomes double. Here chromosome number is not doubled, it doubles after the end of first mitotic division. Here no synthesis of new chromosomes, it occur only before the commencement of prophase 2. Here no crossing over takes place, here crossing over takes place, and this is called equator division and this is called reductive division. Like this, all these are the differences between the mitosis and meiosis. This one is very, very important, and read this lesson and